A powerful story of loss. In 2017, more than 47,000 people died from an opioid drug overdose. That's approximately 130 deaths per day.
Our next guest lost his son, 35-year-old Tony Luke III, to this horrible crisis, and he's now doing everything he can to prevent more tragedies.
Here to share his story is Tony Luke Jr. Tony, welcome to the show.
Hi, how are you?
We're doing great. We want to hear first off about your son's story. Tell us a little bit about him and how he died.
Tony died on March 27, 2017 of a heroin overdose. And I'm passionate about the stigma that's involved, because I always said heroin is the drug that took his life, but it is the stigma that killed him. And he suffered from depression a lot, sometimes low self-esteem. There were a lot of factors involved, and what we're trying to do now is make people understand that there is truly a direct correlation between trauma, mental health, and addiction. They go hand in hand, and that there is a big difference between someone who suffers from a drug problem and someone who suffers from addiction. One gets high, the other self-medicates. That's a huge difference between the two of them.
What are some other misconceptions that people have?
That most people are choosing to live that lifestyle, that they're not worth saving, that the problem will solve itself by all of the overdoses that are happening. They don't look at it as a mental health disease. They look at it as a choice. So when you do that, you become very judgmental, and you almost feel like, well, they deserve what they're getting. And that's the saddest thing of all. You wouldn't take someone with bipolar or schizophrenia and put them in treatment for 28 days and then basically say, hey, don't be bipolar anymore. Just go. But you do this with those suffering from addiction all the time. They need to incorporate the physical end and the mental end of addiction, which is why so many people relapse, because when you take away the actual physical addiction to the drug, you're not addressing the mental health issue or the trauma that leads to them self-medicating, which is why there's so many relapses.
Tell us about your Sound Mind initiative and what the goals of that were.
Well, music has always been a huge part of my life, music and TV, and I realized that every time I went out and I spoke at an event, I was always speaking to the same people. And all of these people understood addiction, or there were parents that wanted to know more. And I thought, I don't need to speak to those people because they get it. Right. I want to speak to people who believe that it's a choice, who don't understand addiction. So I thought, what better way to do this than through music? So I hooked up with a gentleman named Joe Nicolo, who is a 9-time Grammy winner. And we're putting together an album, and we have Cypress Hill on board. We have Sophie B. Hawkins on board. We talked to Wyclef. I talked to The Roots. You know, I talked to their people. And all of these musicians are coming together to put forth either songs for the album or contribute to the album. Then we want to do a concert, sort of like Live Aid. Right. Where we bring everyone together, so this way people think they're coming to just listen to music from their favorite artist, but then they'll be educated on what addiction really is. And then we're adding a comedy component now, doing tours for Comedy for Recovery, because laughter really does heal, and it helped me get through. The music helped me get through it so much, and now we're putting that organization together, and we're going to take it nationwide.
Wow. I mean, you've done so much in the means of outreach. You also have the social media campaign, #BrownandWhite, which talks about heroin addiction. And we just want to thank you so much for everything you've done. I know those who have suffered from addiction or lost loved ones from addiction are really appreciative of everything you've done in the name of this cause. So thank you for being here.
Well, thank you for having me so much.
Really appreciate it.